What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Bobby Suarez Show. Today I have a very special guest with a very interesting background that we're going to dig deep and get into. His name is Ruben Miguel. Miguel, if correct me if I'm wrong, you're a fired or retired police officer turned real estate developer. We're going to definitely get deep into that. So welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. I'm a fired and retired police officer.
I love that. I didn't know how to introduce yourself, so I figured I'll bring both up.
That's okay. I was a 9 to 5 for a long time.
Yeah,
about that.
Okay, all right. Well, Ruben, man, I know we were talking offline, and even before you got into real estate and even becoming a firefighter, you mentioned a police officer. I'm sorry, police officer. Don't
confuse us ever again, right?
Yes, my bad. You mentioned you came from Cuba. Yeah. How did you come from Cuba, so you could let all the listeners know and viewers know?
Well, this was back in 94, 95. You remember like the Tony Montana era where they opened up the borders and everybody left.
Is that in Mariel?
Yeah, so they did the same thing back in 94.
Okay. Is that called Peter Pan?
No,
era?
This Peter Pan was way before.
Okay.
This is basically they opened up the borders and Fidel said, whoever wants to leave, leave. So my mom back there, she used to make a lot of money in Cuba, right? But just like everybody else in Cuba, if you make money, you do it illegally. You can't really make it any other way. And she was about this close to getting caught, so she said, "Hey, we gotta go."
Okay.
So we built a raft, like a constructed at-home raft. I remember that they put like 55-gallon tanks.
Wow.
And that was the flotation devices. So they stacked like 3 on top of each other. They welded it, threw it on its side. Same thing here, and they made a raft.
How old were you when
I was I think I was 9 or 10.
Wow.
And
were you scared, man, or you were excited as a kid?
Nah, I was scared. I was scared as shit.
Okay.
Yeah. Because we left like at 1 a.m.
Wow.
And I remember 20 minutes into the trip, we were like close to this fishing boat, and the waves were so big that we almost got like tipped over. So I said, shit, if this is how we're starting, it's going to be bad.
It's not a good sign. And how many people were on this raft?
It was 9 of us.
Wow.
It was, including my mom and my sister and me, it was 6 other people. But we were at sea for maybe like a day and a half. And then, did you ever hear of Guantanamo Bay? Well, we have a naval base in Cuba.
Yes.
So what they did is they picked us up. We did a few trips. We stayed in the ocean like 2-3 days in an aircraft carrier. I remember we used to sleep on the pad, like where the planes land and take off from.
Wow.
We used to sleep on that. And, they picked up a bunch of more refugees, bunch of more Cubans.
Okay.
And then they sent us to Guantanamo Bay.
And how was that? How many days were you there, or how much time
Bro, we were there for like a year.
Okay.
I remember 4 days into it, there was a hurricane. I can't remember which one, but there was a hurricane. I'm not sure if I'm exaggerating or not, because, when you're a kid, you tend to blow things up, right?
Yeah.
But I do remember like trekking from one side of the camp to the other, and the water was like up to here.
Wow.
So that was my welcome into this.
Welcome into the U.S.
Welcome to the U.S. Yeah, because that's U.S. land.
Okay.
Funny thing is, I was in the military, right? I became a military police sergeant, and after that, we went to Guantanamo Bay, and they showed me around. They still have some sort of like I don't want to call it concentration camp, but like the tents and stuff like that where I used to sleep, they still have a little place set up. So I went afterwards as an adult.
Wow.
And as a soldier.
So fast forward, obviously you were in Guantanamo Bay for a year and a half, and then you came to the U.S. And can you give us a little bit more story on that, like how?
Bro, it was rough. You know how people tell you, like all these influencers tell you, like, I was homeless. I came from I was homeless. Like all that shit, was true for me.
Really?
It was my mom, my sister, and I. And my sister was like 17, 18. She left with her boyfriend. Mm-hmm. And then my mom kind of took the wrong path here. And we ended up homeless. I remember we ended up sleeping in a car for like 3 months outside of a motel.
Wow.
So, whenever she picked up enough money, we stayed in the hotel. It was like $20 a night. And no shit, as a cop, I worked in the same city. And one day I'm outside that motel just staking it out in my patrol car. And I didn't remember where I knew the motel from, and then it kind of clicked. I was like, holy shit, as a kid, I used to sleep out here.
Wow. Yeah, this is the same place.
Yeah, it's the same place. It didn't make sense to me until it made sense, until I realized where I was.
And throughout this whole period of time, obviously, you're going to school here or you really weren't going to school?
I really wasn't going to school.
Okay.
Like, I would go whenever I wanted to. Imagine a 14-year-old kid being told, hey, get up and go, or don't go, up to you. So I kind of straightened out in high school because I joined swimming.
Okay.
And then my coach he's my mentor to this day, so imagine that.
Wow.
It's been like 20
So you could have easily turned and went the wrong route as a kid, not going to school. Maybe.
I should have.
Yeah.
I think given life and given the path that I started, that's how I should have ended up. But we all make our choices, man. That's how my cousins all turned out. And if they see this, I don't care. Yeah. But that's how they all. Yeah. Sorry.
No, man. It's the hard reality.
Can you see podcasts in jail or?
Maybe.
Yeah.
If they got YouTube.
That's how we all should have turned out. But most of us,
Yeah.
We all make our choices. How about that? But that's how I should have ended up. And I remember one day, my mom comes into the house like really in a rush, and she tells me, "Hey, pick up your shit. We gotta go." I was like, what do you mean pick up my shit?
Yeah.
What does that mean in Spanish? She's like, coge ropa, grab some clothes, and let's take off. So I grabbed some clothes and took off. The next day I saw on the news that a house was shot up.
Wow.
And I was like, isn't that our house? So that was my upbringing, man.
Damn. And you gotta write a book, because we're gonna definitely continue digging deeper here, and your story just keeps on getting more amazing. As we progress in this interview. So fast forward, you mentioned you joined the military. How old were you when you joined the military?
So I was like 20, and I'll tell you why. I became a lifeguard, right?
Okay.
I became a lifeguard because I was a swimmer, and that was kind of like the transition of things. Our coach tells us, hey, you're gonna swim, you're gonna do water polo, you're gonna become a lifeguard, and then from there on out,
Yeah.
I became a lifeguard, and I started dating my wife. Mm-hmm. And she is a civil engineer, my ex-wife.
Yeah.
She was a civil engineer, and she knew where she was going, right? She started college, and she tells me, hey, what are you going to do, bro? Like, you can't just be a lifeguard. And I was like, well, you know what? It's either I become a criminal or I become a cop. And at that point, those were my two choices, because I didn't like school. I do really well in school, really well in tests, but I don't like going to school, right? I consider it a waste of time. So she tells me, listen, this guy just went to the academy. It's like 6-7 months. That's your school. You come out, you're good to go. So I said, okay. And I go and take a test for Miami Beach. They have, at that time, it was really, really, really competitive, and they have like 3,000 applicants. I'm really good at test taking, so I scored number 23.
Wow.
I said, fuck it, I made it. You know, I'm gonna be a cop. And I'm on the Palmetto. After that, I'm on the Palmetto North. Somebody cuts me off. I hit the brakes. A cop behind me stops me. He doesn't want to hear it, and he gives me a ticket. And what happens is that stops your entire process with the city of Miami Beach. So I tell him, hey, listen, this is what's going on. He didn't want to hear it. So I said, okay, no problem. I call the city of Miami Beach. They said, hey, we have to cancel your
application process.
Your application process, and you got to come back in a year. I said, shit. So I go to my wife or my girlfriend at the time, and I tell her, hey, listen, this happened. What do you think I should do? She's like, I don't know, but you better do something.
And it's crazy because life just keeps on giving you challenges, and you're forced to figure it out and dig yourself out.
To this day, that's how I operate. So I had a friend, and he tells me, hey, what do you think about joining the military? That was like a Friday. I said, that's probably a good idea. Monday I went, I took the ASVAB, and I scored a 94.
Wow.
That gives me the ability to get any job I want in the military. But I wanted to do the reserves. I didn't want to...
Yeah, you didn't want to go away.
So it was either military intelligence or military police. That kind of was my option so that I could come back and be a cop in the civilian world, right? And military intelligence wasn't available in the state of Florida through the reserves.
Okay.
So I became an MP. I told my wife, hey, listen, I passed the test. What would you wait for me if I leave for basic training? And she went like this, yeah, all right.
Yeah.
I was like, if we get married, by the way, if we get married, we make $1,800 a month more. She's like, let's do it. I said, you're the one.
Yeah.
You know, so that's how I became a soldier, because I had no other option, because he was either that or just lollygag around and wait.
For those that don't know what an MP is, that's military police?
Military police, yes.
Okay.
Not the ones that are in the base giving
Okay.
tickets. We
Got
actually we were combat MPs.
Got it.
Just to clarify. You know?
Okay. All
So
right.
I came back, and within 3 months, I did the whole basic training. I did a couple specialized schools. I came back and I applied to be a cop again, and within 3 months, I was in the police academy.
Under which police department here? All right.
So, no, I can tell you.
Okay. All right.
No, I told you. No. So this is what happened was.
Yeah.
So this is what happened. I applied for the city of Hialeah, and I applied for the county.
Got it.
I took the test for the county, and I didn't pass the lie detector test. So they kept asking me about undetected crimes, and in my head, I'm freaking out because I had a rough childhood, like I told you, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't pass the lie detector test, and the very next week, I passed it for the city of Hialeah. So Miami-Dade calls me, and they're like, hey, you want to do this again? I was like, fuck you, I'm going to be a cop in Hialeah.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, within 3 months, I was a police cadet in Hialeah. 6 months later, I was a cop. And a year after, I'm being deployed to Iraq.
Wow.
Yeah.
And how long were you in Iraq for?
In Iraq, we were there a little bit over 400 days.
Wow. And how was that experience? Can you go in deeper into some of the stuff you went through over there?
I can tell you that's...
Or that helped shape you to be a person that you are now, or anything crazy?
It's made me who I am today.
Yeah.
My whole, my early adulthood life was shaped by military training, by the police mentality, which sucks, but that's, I don't regret anything. Iraq was a movie. It was a bad movie, and that's how I view it. That's how I'm able to deal with it. It doesn't exist anymore.
Got it.
I'm glad I did it, but it doesn't exist.
Because it made you the man that you are now. I'm sure it shaped you in many ways.
Yeah. No, it helps you become who you are, and it fucks you up in so many ways, and it shapes your views in so many ways that, you're either this way or that way, and that's how I prefer it.
Wow. All right. So fast forward, you come back from Iraq, then you're back into being a police officer.
Yeah, because they hold your job. When you're in the reserves, you get to deploy, you come back, they're supposed to hold your job.
Got it.
So I'm still a cop, and in Hialeah, my problem was, and I say this proudly, but probably it was the dumbest thing that I could do. Like, my nickname there, along with my partner from the academy, was the Hialeah Cowboys. Like, all my shit was just, like, I wasn't going to stop you and give you a ticket. You know what I mean? That wasn't my thing. Like, I'm going to stop you.
You were like a cool cop.
I don't want to say it like that because it's going to sound like bullshit, but I'm not there to give tickets, right? I'm there to punch you in the mouth if you speak a little bit loud and you deserve to get punched in the mouth, and I'm there to solve crimes. Like real stuff. You're not wasting time on petty stuff, in other words. I'm not. Again, I don't say this proud, but I'm proud of who I am and what I've done.
It is what it is.
It is what it is. I was in 3 fucking shootings in Hialeah in my career, so...
Wow.
Like, the reason I don't tell you I'm proud of that is because who wants to, I could have done 20 years with my gun holstered, but it just didn't work out that way.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of cop I was. 3 years into it, I became a sergeant. And 2 years after I became a sergeant, I got fired for the first time. So I don't know if you want to talk about that, but that's how I went.
Yeah, I mean, if you're able to, sure.
Yeah, all of that's closed, man.
Okay, well, so what made you get fired?
So like I told you, I wasn't the kind of cop to just stop you and give you a ticket, right? Like, there's always more to the story. And if I'm here to give you a ticket, like, what kind of service am I doing for anybody? So now I'm a midnight supervisor, and the city's divided into six sections, right? Sectors. And I am in charge of one sector. Okay. And that sector's fairly large, and I'm in charge of maybe like 10 officers or so. One of them stops some guy. One of them stops a dirtbag. How about that?
Okay.
The guy had a little bit of weed, had a suspended license, and at that point, that's all they had. So the guy calls me. He's like, "Hey, Sarge, come over here and sign this arrest affidavit, because whenever they sign somebody, you could do a promise to appear, right? And these guys can promise to go to court." So that's all he was going to do. He was going to cite him for the suspended license, and that was it. So I told you there's always a little bit more, and there's some rookies in the squad that I'm trying to teach. So I get there, and I start speaking to the guy, and I have a way with words. And the guy tells me, "Yeah, look, I got a little bit of weed there, and there's some pills and a little bit of coke. And all of those are, not the weed, but the coke and the pills are felonies, so you're supposed to take them, but I'm retired now, so I can say whatever I want."
Yeah.
You do what you want on scenes, right? If you talk to me like a person and you have a little bit of cocaine, you may leave with it, you know? That's illegal, but it's just what it was. I'm retired, they can't touch me.
Yeah.
So I tell the guy, "Hey, listen, how many pills you got?" He had like 10 pills or so. I said, "I don't want your pills, I'm gonna let you go, but call the guy that sold them to you and tell him he has to bring you like 50 more. Immediately the guy fucking snitches. That's one of my least favorite things. He calls the guy, so I set up a sting. The guy comes, we stop him. He's got the pills. He's got a little bit of cocaine with him. And what do? There's always a little more, right? I tell him, "Hey, I'll work with you.
But give me your other guy.
Give me your other guy." And he's like, "Dude, it's 3:30 in the morning. The guy's not going to pick up, but I have like 200 pills at home. I can go get them for you." Procedurally, you can't really let the guy go, you know what I mean? But it just so happens that, you know, for one reason or another, he went, he picked up the pills, he came back, and it was a great arrest. I got a commendation for it. But the rookie that, I don't want to say the rookie, the officer that wrote the arrest affidavit didn't do everything or didn't account for everything the way he was supposed to. And the guy's wife ended up being politically connected, right? So can we cuss in this show?
Of course. Yeah.
She was fucking the mayor's assistant or the mayor's friend at that point.
Okay.
And I find that out later, right? So she got internal affairs to investigate everything. They went into the arrest affidavit and saw inconsistencies. They fired the kid because he was on probation, and they fired me for authorizing the arrest affidavit, right? For signing off on it. So the guy gets fired. I get in trouble. I'm not fired yet because I'm unionized. And I'm 25 or 26 at that point, and I'm hot-headed, and I'm there to do good. And I tell the chief of police, that he's a piece of shit, that he, you know, I blew up. I wanted to fight him
you're pissed
physically.
that this is happening to you.
He fired one of my kids, man.
Yeah,
he fired one of my kids. He's a former freaking Marine.
Yeah.
Good person, you know. He missed a couple fucking lines on. Bottom line is, we got somebody off the street that shouldn't have been on the street. The guy had just come back from doing 5 years for doing the same thing.
Wow.
And he's gonna get fired because this lady is fucking somebody. That knows somebody.
It doesn't seem fair, obviously.
Right. So since I blew up, the chief fired me. And this is how my story actually begins. So I'm glad we're here.
Okay.
So he fires me, and I lose my job for an entire year. Bobby, I remember the first week, I had just had my first daughter, right? My first kid. My daughter's 2 years old. We had just bought a house. This was like 2014 or something like that. We had just bought a house, and I remember the first week I'm sitting on the couch, and I'm thinking like, bro, what do? I got no other skills. All I've done is military. Do I go full time? I don't know what else to do.
Yeah.
3 days on the couch, just feeling like shit, pitiful, right? I got a buddy of mine that calls me. He's like, "Hey, listen, I have somebody that fixes credit for like $250. Yeah, I know, but he actually did his shit.
Okay.
For like $250, and I need some clients. And I said, I'll get clients. Within the first week, I had like 15, 20 clients. I resold the service for $1,000 and made like $500, $600 per client. So what that told me is, bro, everything works. All you have to do is get up and go get it. Everything works. There's people that make millions of dollars selling rocks. People sell water. Everything works. All you have to do is get off your fucking couch, stop the fucking pity party, and get to it. You know what I mean? I started making a ton of money that way. A year later, we'll fast forward a year later, I get my job back because,
they investigated or whatever, and they determined that you shouldn't have been fired.
I should not have, right? So as a cop, you're not going to put $100,000 together. It just doesn't work. You work for every penny you got, and if you want a little bit extra, you got to work overtime. You don't value your time as a public servant.
Yeah.
You can't. So I got my job back. They gave me back pay with almost $100,000, $90-something thousand, all at once. For me, that was like, if you give me $5 million right now, all at once.
That was like kind of like a blessing in disguise at that moment for you.
Oh, bro, people ask me, bro, do you hate the chief? And I'm like, no, I love that guy.
He did you a favor.
That guy's an angel to me. That guy's an angel. Yeah. People just don't know, but it's all on how you receive a problem, right? How you perceive it and receive it. Like, this could be the ugliest place, but if I'm looking out and I see the view, this is the most beautiful thing that's ever happened to me. It's just a matter of how you choose to receive what's happening to you, right? You can be the loneliest guy, and then somebody comes into your life and it changes your entire life. This guy changed my life. He thought he was doing bad.
Yeah.
But no, this guy was an angel to me. He gave me $100,000. And I said, holy shit, I'm rich.
Yeah.
What do I do now? So I bought a truck. And I bought a couple of trucks and I put them to work with Macy's. And back then they used to...
Are these like delivery type trucks? Wow.
Yeah, the box trucks.
Okay.
I knew nothing about it, but my brother-in-law was a driver for him, and he's like, hey, Ruben, if you do this, each truck will give you like $3,000, $4,000 a month. The trucks cost me like 15, 16 grand. So I bought a few trucks, and, that took off, and I was living well. Remember, I got into a fight with the chief, and I told him during arbitration, I said, hey, listen, because he questioned my morals. And I said, I've been married to the same woman since I was 18, 19. You married a hooker, buddy. All right? So don't talk to me like that. This is the chief of police.
Wow.
But I'm a man before I'm anything else.
Of course.
The police job is just a job. It's 9 to 5. People value things too much, right?
Yeah.
This is just a job. That title dies whenever I take off the uniform. It ain't shit to me. So I'm not going to let you disrespect me, right?
Yeah.
Or question my morals or values. So that's it. I had a big target in my back. A year later, I'm in internal affairs again. And this guy says, hey, listen, as a cop, you're supposed to write everything down that you do, right? Like your worksheet, it says from 1 p.m. to 1:10, I took a bathroom break.
You're supposed to be detailed.
Detailed. From 12:13 to 1:12, I took a lunch break. What I would do is I would round off the numbers. 12:13 became 12:15, right? And that way you do the math at the end easier. Yeah. So he said, hey, you're lying on your worksheet. I said, no, the hell I'm not. And he's like, look, in the computer it says 12:05. Here it says 12:10. You're stealing time. Fired me again. 90-something% of the department did the same thing.
Yeah.
So what happens? A year later, I get my job back again. Another $100,000.
Damn. Another blessing in disguise.
I love this guy. At this point, I'm thinking, please, God.
Yeah. Do it again.
Hate me all you want. Do it again.
Wow.
I got the 100, sold the trucks, started real estate. That's it. Got my job back, by the way. I started flipping, and from there on out, every single paycheck that I made went into savings.
And how did you make that transition into real estate? Did you know anybody that was already doing it?
I found somebody on Instagram.
Okay.
And he ended up scamming me, right? He ended up robbing me for like $50,000. We actually did a flip, and I put the money to fix it.
Okay.
There was a third party involved, which I didn't even know at the time. But I mean, I didn't seek out any mentorship. I didn't take a course like you're saying. Those are things I know now.
Mm-hmm.
All I knew back then was, hey, this is what I want. This is what I'm going to do. And that was my attitude, right? Now I think things a little bit more. But I partnered up with this guy. I gave him $45,000. I don't even think I had a contract, Bobby.
It was a handshake type deal.
That kind of shit.
Yeah.
We did the shittiest flip in the world. The flip sold and I never got paid.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what year was this in?
I think this was in like 2014, 2015, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Maybe, yeah.
And so
maybe like
what happened
2015.
after that? You didn't get paid.
I didn't get paid. I was out $50,000. Remember, $50,000 back then
It's a lot of money.
could stop you from ever doing business again, right? So, I'm talking to my wife at that time, and she tells me, "Hey, you got to stop, bro. Like, that's it. This is, you tried, let it go." I said, "You're fucking nuts. I'm going to do it bigger." So I went and I got another flip, and I did it on my own. And if you could make mistakes on a flip that didn't exist ever, I made them.
You did them in that flip.
Every single mistake you could make on a flip, I made on that flip. But I made them by myself, with myself.
Those are the best learning experiences, man.
I don't learn any other way.
Learn early on.
I don't learn any other way. I don't understand why, but this is just how I learn. And as you get older, you understand it's not the way you should be learning. Like if you're a fucking genius in wholesaling, if I ever want to learn wholesaling, I'm going to pay you to teach me.
For sure.
That's not how I did it. That's not how I did it back
I think
then.
God knows you have some serious, thick skin, and that's probably why they teach you the way they teach you.
I would not have learned any other way.
Yeah.
Because I'm an outsource kind of guy, right? The thing I value the most now is my time. And you can call me lazy, you can call me whatever you want, but I want to do whatever the hell I want with my day.
Time is your biggest asset, man.
I'll make a lot less money, I don't care, but if I can pay you to do it, you're going to do it, and I'm just going to sit here. Even if I'm watching you, bro.
Yeah.
Even if I'm here watching you, but I'm going to sit here, do whatever the hell I want to do with my time, and then I'll make a little bit less, but I can do it here, 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 and here. Does that make sense?
Of course.
Like I'll do it 10 times.
Yeah.
And I'll make a little bit less, but I'll do it 10 times while you're doing it once. So that's how I learned, bro. I hit as many walls as I could.
Did you make any money on that one?
So I'm 3 months into it. I got it for $375. An expensive deal back then, by the way.
Yeah.
I'm 3 months into it. I'm 90% of the way through. And this rich lady walks by. And she tells one of my guys, because I wasn't there, she's like, "Hey, I love this house. Where's the owner? I want to buy it from him." And he calls me. He's like, "Hey, bro, get over here." I remember I got there like in 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Big deal.
Yeah.
So I got it for $375. I was like $50,000 into it, or I was gonna finish into it like $50,000. And I was, I don't know, like $425. The lady tells me, "Hey, you got it for $375. I'll give you $380." She said, "You got it 3 months ago."
Yeah, she's looking for a good deal.
Yeah, I said, "That's an awesome deal. Let me consider it."
Yeah.
I told her, "Listen, $550. No, I said $600. She came back with $525. I said $550. Take it or leave it. She took it. I hadn't finished. I got to finish the project with her money because she changed up a bunch of things. And, if that doesn't tell you that God is on your side, you can do whatever the hell you want to do, nothing will.
That was a nice flip.
Bro, I came from getting hit in the face, from hitting walls, to God saying, "Hey, here you go, man. This is what you can do, and this is what's going to happen from now on. You just got to have faith."
You went from making $100,000 a year as a cop to making $100,000 in one deal, pretty much.
So I quit being a cop because I would make 70, 80 a year, and then you do overtime and you hit 100. And I started hitting consistent $100,000 months, and I said, "This is enough,
Yeah.
So that's why I quit.
Nice.
I got fired 2 more times after that, by the way. Yeah.
Wow.
We'll let those go.
Yeah. Well, let's
Yeah,
dig deeper into the real estate stuff.
Let's move through. Yeah, let's
sure.
get there.
Even though those stories were definitely nice to hear.
No, I love my story. I wouldn't change it for the world.
You got to definitely write a book, man.
I would love to.
Yeah.
I would love to, but there's just so much more coming that if I write a book now, and I tell myself this all the time, if I write a book now, I'd be cutting myself short. There's so much more coming.
I agree. Well, maybe you could start, and then throughout time, you continue writing into it.
Bunch of pages deep.
Let me ask you a question, man. So now you're fixing and flipping. Are you sourcing your own deals, or are you buying from other wholesalers?
So I'm not flipping much now, right?
Okay.
So when I started flipping, I started with one, then one at a time, right? That's all I could afford, and that's all I knew how to do. Then before I even hit 2 or 3, I said, I'm going to do 3. I started doing 3. I said, I'm going to do 5. I started doing 5 until I started doing like 20, right?
Yeah.
Right now, remember, all I'm doing is new construction. That's just how my career has progressed.
So how'd you pivot from rehabs to fixing and flipping to now new construction? What made you make that pivot?
So the way I used to get my fix and flips were from wholesalers.
Okay.
Strictly from
So
wholesalers.
you never did any direct-to-seller marketing? You
No,
were
I don't
always
know any
buying
of
from
that.
wholesalers. Got it.
I don't even know how to do a spreadsheet on the computer, bro.
Yeah.
So the only thing I do on the computer is Instagram. I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me, so
Yeah.
I don't do it. But I know somebody who does, and they
Of
do it for
course.
me, right?
Yeah.
So I strictly dealt with wholesalers, and I put my efforts into this very specific area, and it's like the Liberty City area and stuff like that. And I used to pick up deals there for like 80,000, 90,000, 130. I used to put 50, 60 into it and flip them for 300. I remember I set the standard for the highest sold per square feet in that area like 2-3 times.
Wow.
I-
You're always pushing comps up.
I push my own comps. I own within a 3-mile radius, there's like 17 properties there that are just there.
Nice.
What I used to do is I would flip 3, keep 1, flip 3, keep 1. And that's how I did it. Until flipping became expensive. Flipping started becoming expensive. You guys had more problems getting deals, so you started putting more money on top. So flipping
Margins
became
got tighter for you.
way tighter.
Yeah.
I would make $100,000 on a flip, and I would make that consistently and simple. Not every single flip, but it wasn't a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
Flippers now are making $30,000, $40,000 on a regular deal. I'm not saying a high-end,
Yeah.
$800,000-$900,000
Yeah, on a regular
house,
traditional size deal, 300-400 grand. Yeah, that's what they're making.
$30,000, and they're spending 5-6 months. And if they tell you different, they're either
Yeah.
ashamed to admit it, they don't know what the hell they're doing, and the market now is filled with guys that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
So
I
it
agree.
fucks it up for everybody else.
Yep.
So-
yeah, they're overpaying for deals up front.
They're overpaying for
Yeah.
deals because they got this money that they don't know what to do with, and you're getting what was it, 2019 when COVID hit, right?
Yep.
Everybody's getting these loans from the
The
government.
PPP money and all that. Oh, yeah.
So you got all these idiots getting $100,000-$200,000 from the government. Now they don't know what to do, but they got the money, and they should be paying $100,000 for a deal, but they're going to pay 120, 130.
Yeah.
They got the money, they don't know what to
Yeah.
do, and
They
they're
don't know any
hoping
better.
for the best.
Yeah.
So
They're
that's
speculating.
so. In my opinion, and I know this doesn't, it's not in cohesion with what you do, but flipping is dead, and I've been saying it for like a year or 2. So I stopped flipping
Why do you say that?
because the regular guy, so the market has a way of pushing the regular guys out, right? And it's a good thing. It leaves room for the professionals because the regular guys fuck things up. It's just the way things work,
Yeah.
right? So the market has a way of weeding out the guys that don't know. And that's what's happened now. So what remains is the guys that can put a big chunk of their money into a deal, right? Before, with $100,000, you can put your 10% down or 20% down, right? And then
And then also bankroll your rehab and all that.
you can't do that now.
Yeah, it's tough.
You can't do it now. You're saying it's tough. I'm saying it's almost impossible, right?
Yeah.
So the guys that are surviving now are people like us that have done it for a long time, that have a little bit more money in reserves to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Those guys that are starting out, they're
Yeah,
gonna
it's
fail.
tough. Even now, like even if you're trying to get into wholesale, I remember when I first got started, my marketing channel, because I used to do direct to seller marketing, was cold calling and SMS. Those sources right now are dead. I mean, people are still kind of cold calling, but it's gonna finish soon.
How does that? Let me ask you a question, bro. How does
Yeah.
that work for you? Because I hate getting cold calls.
So we don't
Like,
cold call
you're not
anymore.
talking to me.
Yeah, well, we used to cold call. So we used to focus a lot on outbound type marketing because it was the easiest and cheapest method to get started. So we would buy the list, we would skip trace it, which skip trace, for those that don't know, is we obtain the seller's phone numbers and then we call them up. We had dialers. I had a cold calling office in Nicaragua. And man, we would, out of 100 people we would call, we would get one deal. I mean, I'm just throwing random numbers out there, but that's how it was. We're working on volume, right? But they're not your motivated leads, right? So I always
Yeah,
tell
these are people you got to work.
yeah,
and
these
work
are you
and
got to
work.
continue following up. Some of these people I'm following up for 6 months to a year. You know, it's
So I
not
was
like
going to ask
something
you,
that
how
is
long
so.
does it take you to
Yeah,
get a
it's-
deal? Like, is it, for it to be worth it?
Yeah. So again, it has to be in volume. You're gonna get some that are ready to go right away, and some that you need to nurture them and continue following up. So a lot of the deals that we were getting were coming back after 6 months to a year. But after we started making some more money, man, I switched it over immediately to inbound marketing, which is now we're heavy on TV. We're doing PPC marketing.
Yeah, people are calling you.
Yeah, dude, because it's way better quality, a lot less brain damage, because I also value my time. I don't want to be managing 10, 15 cold callers in Nicaragua. I'm also worried that I'm going to get sued by the TCPA for not following the do not call list and all that crap. So it's,
Yeah, I've been
man,
looking for you, Bobby.
I know you have.
I keep getting
know.
those calls.
So
All right? It
I
better
have
not
to
be
stay
you,
away
bro.
from the
Better not be
Hialeah
you.
Cuban cowboy. But yeah, man, I honestly, I would wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, dude, am I getting sued today? So I was like, you know what? I gotta switch it over, and thank God I did, man, because it definitely shaped my business.
People don't understand what you just said. Like, you're waking up in the middle of the night saying, am I getting sued today? Like, these are real things, right? Like, you're really waking up at night saying, holy shit,
Yep.
did I make a mistake here? Like, most people that are starting out don't understand that this is really what it takes to build a business. The stress, I always say something, in order to survive any business, especially this kind of business, you have to be able to thrive in chaos, right? Chaos has to motivate you, and you have to be
Yeah.
able to stand on top of all that chaos and say, hey, this is my pile, I'm the king here.
Yeah.
Like, I survive here because I made this and I could take it away, right? Most people that are starting out don't understand that. They hit a little bit of chaos and then they quit, you know?
You know, I wonder all the crazy stuff that you went through when you were growing up, coming to the U.S. in a raft, you know, living outside of a hotel. I'm pretty sure those are the things that kind of made you hungry now to be where you're at.
I'll never be in that
You know?
position ever again.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
I will
similar
never
to
put
me.
myself
I
in
mean,
that
I didn't
position.
come in a raft, but you know, and I didn't sleep outside a condo or anything like that. But I definitely went through a tough childhood. Also,
you understand what bad is.
So
If you don't understand
yeah.
what bad is, how do you value good?
Exactly.
You know?
So I remember, man, I had to go get a job at 14. You know, I had to hustle. You know, and I always told myself I would be watching. Like, I remember I would tell my mom, like, I was watching the Flyer, this magazine that used to come to the house.
I remember the
Yeah,
Flyer.
and I'm like, man, we could move to North Miami Beach. I remember back then rents were like $800, $900. I'm like, why the hell are we staying here in Hialeah? In my mind, I thought North Miami Beach was like literally on the sand, and they don't know that North Miami
You're
Beach
dipping
is
your
huge.
toes in
Yeah,
the water,
exactly.
right?
So I'm like, why the hell are we living here? We could live in the beach for a few $100 more. But I was always very ambitious, you know, and I always was thinking ahead, man. Just
Well, that's the
you know,
difference. That's the difference maker, Bobby.
yeah, I agree, man. So let's rewind a bit. You had mentioned so you were fixing and flipping.
I'll tell you how
deals
it
got
changed.
harder, and then you got into development, right?
So that's not exactly why I got into development. I tell you that it just, God has a plan for me and I understand it, right?
Yeah,
And in order for me to progress, I just got to hit walls. It's just the way it's worked out. It just teaches me. And I know it sounds bad to say that, but it hasn't been a bad experience for me. It hasn't had a bad outcome. I'm pretty fine, right? I'm
Yeah.
pretty good. So it's just the way that I'm being reminded, like, hey, this room is too small for you already. Go ahead and move on out, right? So I bought a flip, and it had this little shitty house in it, or on it.
yeah,
Shitty house. And he actually tells me, hey, why don't we tear this down and build it? And I said, bro, you don't know what you're talking about. I'm the guy that flips here, right?
Yeah.
Right? Don't talk shit. I'm the one that
Yeah.
does this. 3 days later, I realized we should just tear it down.
that's probably the best use.
Yeah,
Just
I
to-
won't tell
yeah.
him that, but
Yeah.
you know, it's my
Yeah.
idea.
That's
But
awesome.
we ended up tearing it down, and I didn't have a GC license back then or anything like that, so I hire out. I hired this guy who ended up stealing about $80,000 from me, and you know what? I don't even want to say stealing. I think he just mismanaged because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. But at the end of the day, I was $80,000 out of pocket.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, you still lost it.
I lost. So what did I do? I contacted my now partner. This is what I'm saying. Everything that happens to you happens for you.
Yep.
And it happens for you because it has to, because there's a greater plan for you, right? It's just some people receive information and receive blessings differently. I have to be faced with adversity for me to understand that this is a blessing, right?
Yeah.
And it's just the way it's happened to me. It's happened for me. So this guy tells me, hey, I hired somebody else to run the project. The guy dies. The guy he hired to run the project,
God.
dead. I have a lot
This
of
is like the
sympathy.
GC,
This was
like the contractor guy.
the contractor.
Yeah.
There was a ghost GC. It was a mess. The guy that died apparently took all the paperwork to the grave with him because it was just such a mess to get everything
Wow.
back. But remember, God loves me, right? So I reach out to Norby, my partner now, 50-50 on everything, by the way. And I tell him, hey, you got your GC, right? I need your help. Right away, he says yes. And I tell him, we need to take over this project because I'm going to kill this old man.
Yeah.
He's 109 years old and tiny, so, I can't really do much. But I said, I don't want to kill this guy, so let's
Yeah.
take over the project. He's fired. It takes us months just to gather the information, and we take over the project. We finished the project like 6-7 months later, but I netted like $200,000 off that project.
Wow. Can you go into more detail on the numbers? Like, what did you buy the initial house for, and what you ended
So
up
I
putting
bought
into
the
it?
initial house for $105,000, but I became a realtor. I was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in realtor fees, right?
Yeah.
Like I was paying other people to sell my shit. And I said, this is a matter of going there and, taking a test.
Yeah.
And
It's a good license to get, especially if you're getting into real estate investing.
dude,
For sure.
this was the best. To this day, I consider that one of the best investments I made on Ruben Miguel.
Yeah.
Not Crusader Capital or Crusader Construction,
Yeah, on
Crusader
yourself.
Roofing, on Ruben Miguel, because all these companies now pay me. You know what I mean?
For sure.
So that goes to a separate account.
Yep.
My business account and Ruben Miguel is different, right? Mm-hmm. So to this day, I was spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in selling fees. I got my license, and I bought that place for $105. And I said, well, $105, and then I get a check for like $2,000-$3,000. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And then they're like, oh, that's your commission. I was like, no shit.
Yeah, that's awesome.
This is how it
Yeah.
works, So I bought that. I spent all in like $200,000-$300,000, and I sold for $575. It took me almost 2 years between the time we started and finished because of all the, everything that could go wrong went wrong,
Yeah.
and it did go wrong. So it took me like 2 years, but I still netted over $200,000. So even if I had only done that project in those 2 years, one specific project, I made what I would have made on a 9-to-5 job.
Yeah, for sure.
So
And not only that, all those learning experiences they're super valuable. Honestly, all those headaches and all the issues that you went through.
those things don't happen to me
Man,
anymore.
I wish I went through all of them all at once at the beginning too. But
Bro, call me.
So I sometimes I get them
Call me
sprinkled
when
in
you
here.
have
and
a
there,
doubt.
yeah.
I've been through them all. Don't
Yeah,
even, if you say,
I
hey,
know.
Ruben, what happens when there's
Yeah.
bad soil? Call me. I went through that shit.
So that's what got your feet wet into new construction. And what was that? A single family house?
Single family house. I actually just bought a lot, or I closed on a lot yesterday or the day before. Guess what house I'm doing there? That same plan.
Wow.
Those same plans now belong to me. All I have to do is change the address on it, present it to the county, and say, hey, listen, I'm building this house that I've already built here, 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 and here. Now I'm putting it here, right?
So you save money on plans now.
I save money on plans. So that's not even a huge deal because my architect is fairly inexpensive to me because I give him so much work.
Yeah.
But let's call it $5,000-$10,000 I save on plans. I save on time because I've done this freaking house so much. I save on time because I know exactly what could go wrong.
Yeah.
I know that the initial build, the water heater, was placed somewhere that it should not have been.
Yeah, so you already went through all the mistakes on
It's
this
not gonna
floor,
happen again.
on this type of floor plan. So you already broke your head on it, and
The
you already know.
doors, Bobby, the doors, they did the openings wrong.
Wow.
And I had to custom order doors. It cost me like $3,000-$4,000 more than it should have cost. And $3,000-$4,000 is not a lot when you're making 250, but
it adds up.
$3,000-$4,000.
It definitely adds up.
It adds up. People don't understand
Yeah.
that. I tell my students, I tell them this, hey, listen, don't worry about the cost of the roof because it's $15,000. You're not going to make a mistake there.
Yeah.
Don't worry about the tiles because it's $10,000. You're not going to make a mistake there. Worry about the lights, the doors, the small stuff, because it's
finishes.
1,000 small stuff. It's 1,000 small things that can go wrong, and
Yeah.
you don't notice because it's small.
I remember actually, I've never really done new construction for the exception of my personal house. And my personal house, we ended up doing multiple additions. Dude, I got tired of putting things on line items. Like I told myself I was gonna spend 200 grand. I think we ended up spending like $500,000.
It doesn't work.
So are we gonna get this faucet that's $300, or we're gonna get the nice one that costs $800? But you think it's something so minuscule that you're like, you know what? Let's just go with the $800 one since it's our personal house.
Because it doesn't make sense
Yeah.
not to at that
Yeah.
moment.
But
But what
it
happens
adds
when you
up.
saw your line items?
No, dude. I was like, I almost threw up when I saw the total. I was like, holy crap.
I see this fireplace. I have a fireplace in my bathroom, right? I have this nice tub and a fireplace behind it. The tub cost me like $2,500.
Yeah.
I saw the same tub later on for $600. The same exact freaking tub, just a different brand. Same material, same everything.
Yeah.
It was my house, so I went with the $2,000 one. The fireplace was like another $2,000. I saw it again for like $400. Had I saved myself all those, and this is my personal house too. So you start taking away, and adding a different column, it adds up.
Yeah.
So that's why budgeting, when it comes to
Everything. It's important in business to be efficient. You know what I mean?
Systems.
Efficient in your time, cost, have systems, processes. So, all right. So you build this house, and then let's fast forward a bit. How did you get into now of being a full-blown developer? How did that happen? So you
Well, it was
partnered up
just
with your
simpler.
partner now, with that guy that what's his name,
Norbert.
Norbert.
You'll see him in some of my videos.
All right. Yeah. Hopefully I'll
Funny
meet him
looking guy in the
soon.
back. Yeah,
Okay.
good guy. So the reason I partnered up with him is, first and foremost, is because I can trust him fully. Like, I understand that if there's $1,001,001 that we netted on a profit, it's not going to be $1 million. It's going to be $1,000,001, and that's what he's going to tell me.
Yeah.
So it's very important to be able to trust the person you're doing business
Very
with.
important. Yeah.
I'm not saying don't double check numbers, and don't double check numbers because you don't trust him. Double check numbers because he's human, just like
Because
you.
mistakes can't happen. I agree.
Mistakes happen all the time. I fuck up a lot.
Yeah.
I fuck up a lot.
Yeah.
So I expect him to call me out on it. The moment you're not keeping yourself accountable and holding your partner accountable, that's when problems happen, and that's when misconceptions happen, and then the distrust,
It can
appears.
start
So-
then. Yeah.
So we talked about construction, and he had an underground company, and he did pretty well. And we talked about construction, and I told him, hey, listen, how do we get this going? And he said, give me 20%. I think he asked for 20% of Crusader Construction. And I said, I'm going to give you 50, okay? But I don't want to do shit with Crusader Construction. I don't want to have to visit sites. I don't want to hear about plans. It didn't work out that way, by the way.
Okay.
But I don't want to hear about plans. I don't want to hear shit. You do Crusader Construction, and I'm going to concentrate on raising money through Crusader Capital. And that's how we kind of came to this understanding. And, the way it's worked out is that he concentrates on the builds, and I raise money to be able to build. So Crusader Capital feeds Crusader Construction. Crusader Construction creates the asset, builds the house, and sends money back. So we keep it, circulating.
So you said it didn't work out that way. So now you are
It
hands-on.
doesn't work out that way because we've grown so fast,
Okay.
and we've grown fast, and then I'm reinvesting my money into land and reinvesting my money into the actual real estate and this is not the smartest thing I've done. I told you I make mistakes all the time. And I saw a video that you said you're taking very good care of your employees. You just hired a driver for somebody.
Yes.
So monetarily, I can do it. However, my money has gone to land. So I have not hired the right people yet. Not that I can't afford it, but I can afford it. So you can hire somebody for $50,000 and you're gonna get shit work. It's just the reality of it.
Yeah.
Okay. But you pay that same person $100,000, they're gonna value the job a lot more,
100%, yeah.
and they're gonna do it. So I haven't got it in my head to where I'm gonna place, high value individuals in positions. You know what I mean? So
You need to, man. Sometimes, and I've noticed this. It happens a lot with a lot of fix and flippers. Oh no, they got 10 fix and flips going on at the same time, but the business owner is the lead manager, the acquisitions agent, the project manager, the listing agent, and I'm like, dude, what
That
are you
was me
doing?
for a long time.
So they're not scared to put a shitload of money into 10 fix and flips, but they're scared to spend money on marketing and hiring their team so that they could be more efficient. Yeah. So I think it's normal, man. We all go through that. I went through it, and it was honestly something that I had to push myself to do, to hire some, different people. And thank God I did now, because now we could be more efficient.
I'm in the mindset.
Yeah.
I'm in the mindset now, and I know growth. So before Crusader Capital was worth anything, call it zero. When it was worth zero, you came to me and you would have told me, hey, listen, I'm a marketing genius. I'm going to grow this from zero to 10, 20 million dollars, and I would have just give me 50%, and I would have told you, what are you, fucking nuts? This is mine. I can't give you 50%.
Yeah.
It's 50% of zero, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Crusader Capital, Crusader Construction is actually worth a lot of money now, and I willingly gave up 50% because now I understand that there's value in partnership, right? There's value in numbers and networking. That's why we're here, right?
Of course.
So you say it all the time, your network is your net worth. So everybody says that. Anybody that's smart enough, right? So I gave up a big chunk to have them take care of that. But since we've grown so much, it's just taking me getting involved too. We have site managers, we have foremen, we have those kind of employees.
Yeah, you have the construction, but you don't have probably the clerical and operations people in place.
We don't have the systems where they should be. If we had the systems where they should be, we'd be making 10 times what we're making now.
Yeah, I agree.
I guarantee that.
I agree.
We're slowly working up to it.
Okay.
Everything's a work in progress.
Good, man. What advice can you give a young entrepreneur or a young real estate investor if they want to get into business or even real estate investing? What are some of the things that they should work on or traits that they should have?
Bobby, I'm going to tell you the same exact thing everybody is going to tell you, and I know it sounds corny. Consistency, show up every day, and I know it sounds boring, but it's true, bro. It's true. You stay consistent. You're not gonna give up, and things start happening. Shit, this generation's expecting everything to happen at once, and it just doesn't fucking work that way.
Yeah.
Like, people see me now and they're like, "Hey, must be nice." My answer is, it's fucking awesome. But it wasn't that way in the beginning. You know what I mean?
You paid your dues.
Yeah, it's nice now. Let yourself get to the "it's nice now" part. You know what I mean?
I agree.
Stay consistent, and this whole, this is how it should be said. Instagram is mostly a fucking lie. Most people that are speaking can't show you receipts, right? If you're gonna learn from somebody, tell them, hey, you flip. This is
make sure you're learning from somebody that's actually doing it.
Bro, go to some of these fucking people's Instagrams, and in their bio they said 500 houses flipped. No, you fucking don't.
Yeah.
You might have been in the transaction. You might have made $1,000 from it. I was having this conversation the other day. You know, if you wholesale, say you've wholesaled 500 houses. Don't say you flipped. You didn't flip. Like, did you buy it? Did you get the financing? Did you put your sweat equity in there? Did you actually
make the repairs?
Money? Yeah. So don't let the Instagram allure get you, because, you're not going to see from me the bad things that happen, but I've had $1 million in my account on the first of the month, and then I remember this actually happened to me. First of the month, I have over $1 million in the Crusader Capital account, which is a normal thing for an investment account, right? At the end of that month, I go to pay for lunch, and it didn't go through. And I tell the lady, try it again. This is a fucking mistake.
Yeah.
I got a lot of money in there. She comes back and she tells me, yo, it didn't go through, bro. And I check my account and I'm at negative $327. Yeah. You're not going to fucking see that on Instagram, because people don't put those kind of things. You don't see the hardships, so don't let people lie to you. Like, it's a process, and it's a hard process, and to be able to make it, it takes a lot. And if you don't believe that, quit now, because it's just not going to happen for you.
Yeah, you got to pay your dues, man.
Pay your dues. If you're not paying dues, what else is there?
I agree.
Association.
I always tell people, with you got to go through every phase in your business,
Yeah. One of the biggest killers in business is growing too fast.
I agree.
You blow up too fast, you can't catch up. So pay your dues and stop with this I want it now mentality. That's shit. Educate yourself and get fucking disciplined.
What are your hobbies that you like to do when you're not working, man? What do you do for fun?
So I used to own a yacht rental company. I sold everything, by the way.
Okay.
And I used to like to go out boating. I don't know how to drive a boat, by the way, and I had a bunch.
No.
So everybody asks me that, Bobby, I don't really have hobbies, bro. My time is my own. I really like what I do.
So your hobby, or you just pretty much enjoy working?
I enjoy working. However, I'm not one of these guys that is going to tell you, hey, I'm waking up at 5 in the morning and I'm having coffee for 6 minutes and then I meditate for 12 and I take an 11-minute shot. No, bro.
You're working on your own terms.
Yeah, when I wake up, it's because I woke up, you know. If I don't have to take the kids to school that week, like, I'm waking up when I want to wake up. I go to the office. Like, I'm not in a rush. When we leave here, if you walk next to me, if you're walking fast, you're getting to the elevator by yourself because I'm going at my own pace.
Love that. Love that. Ruben, how can people follow you, man?
Crusader Capital. Crusader Capital on Instagram, and the same guy you see here is the same guy you're gonna see there. Is the same guy you're gonna see on the street. There's no pretense, no lie. This is who I am, and this is what you'll get.
Awesome, man. Well, dude, man, thank you for
Bro,
coming out and doing this, man.
I
I honestly, I love your story.
Cool, thank you so much.
If I could help out in any way with setting up systems and processes, dude,
I'm gonna hit you up because I truly need it.
I got you, man. No
Thanks,
worries,
Bobby.
dude. Thank you for coming out, man.
Bro.
Cool.